So what propelled me into the home care business was my late wife had a 5-year battle with breast cancer, which she unfortunately lost in 2007. And I was a single dad with 2 young girls. And 2009 rolled around, the economy was in flux, and I needed to do something on my own. And I like helping people. And what I learned in liking to help people is that everybody goes into this elder care slash caregiving world with enthusiasm and I'm going to do this. And we get involved and we're like a rich, juicy grape with dew on it. And it doesn't take long for the care plan, the care timeline to turn us into this raisin or this prune. We just get sucked in to, I got to take care of mom. And it's not just mom one day a week, it's mom in, 7 days a week. And again, I go back to the cognitive stuff, the Alzheimer's dementia, right? Somebody who asks repeatedly the same question over and over again wears people down. Mm-hmm. And as the airlines have told us since we started flying, when the oxygen mask comes down, what's the first thing you do? You put it on yourself, get yourself settled, you take care of others. That mindset applies here. You're only as good to those around you if you're good to yourself. So if you're a caregiver for a loved one and you need to go for a run, you need to go to your book club, you need to do yoga, Pilates, have a cocktail, imbibe in something that's now legal that wasn't a long time ago. Yeah. I strongly encourage people to self-care is not selfish, it's selfless. Right. Because if you take care of yourself, you have the ability to take care of others as well. If you just take care of others, you will succumb to the challenges. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Maybe repeating myself when I say this, but that's sort of the number one theme that I'm hearing, right? Like the need for us to take care of ourselves such that we can then care for our aging parent or a loved one. And the services that's available through Synergy Home Care is to sort of to relieve us from that stress, from that tension, that worry. And especially as we were talking about earlier, the sandwich generation, right? We have kids, young kids. We have some of us are older parents with younger kids. That comes with having aging parents as well. So if you have to take the kid to go to a school function or, when something is happening at one of the activities, and then you have a parent that you have to worry about as well over your head. And then, we're stretching ourselves so thin nowadays. So, hearing what's available to us, if we could afford it, and also researching, finding out something. Sometimes many of us may forget, grandpa served in this war or did this, or, he's eligible for these stuff. We don't know.
There are many services out there in the world that can help be a piece of the care puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's community groups, whether it's local mom and dad lists, working mom lists, working dad lists, government agencies, county agencies on aging, some of those private plans that I spoke about, those employee assistance programs, the Veterans Administration, apparently the firefighters fund in New Jersey, if you're a former firefighter, whether volunteer or paid, I just found out about this, has a fund available for home care.
That's fantastic.
For home care. It's doing the research and digging, and Google will only take you so far.
Right.
Knowing people in the know who can get you in the door is a decided advantage in this long journey. And it is a long journey. It is not just finding out a solution and turning it on and letting it go. It is constantly changing. People age. People change. Mom and dad may be doing great one day, and they trip and fall and break a hip the next day. And then that totally hijacks your life in a direction could be the foreseeable future, could only be a little while. So it's really availing yourself of knowledge, of want and desire for your loved one, and also letting your family know that, you know what, I got to take care of grandma and grandpa, mom and dad today. And this is where we're at.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's being honest, because the truth will come out and the realities will come out. And
Hmm.
I haven't seen many families that do this in a vacuum and do it really well.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And money, again, means and money can buy certain levels of happiness, but they can't buy everything.
Yeah. Many years ago, I remember when I was a graduate student, I saw a PBS special, and it looked at how families of different family structure, how they provide care to an aging parent, an elderly parent.
Mhm.
And one family who was very successful in the care they provided what speak to what you just described, this continuity of care, but also it's sort of that village concept, right? It's just also being as connected and to the resources, the services, to the providers, and having, you can't just do this on your own, right? Having the medical team, in your case, it will be the home care team, right? And having that sort of ongoing relationship with them. In the documentary, it showed that they were really happy with what the outcomes were for the patient, whatever it may be. The other question I have to ask is, do you get involved in palliative care as well? Or say if one of your patient or client has to go to the hospital, do you have then deploy aides to go there to accompany them if that's a request?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will take care of somebody wherever they are, whether it's in the hospital, whether it's in a hospice scenario, whether it's in their home, if in their loved one's home, in whether it's an independent living, an apartment, a house. I mentioned earlier, we've traveled on vacation with people. And getting back to the hospice sort of end of life journey.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody's going to pass,
Right.
right? And you want to do it with dignity. You want to do it with safety. You want to do it with as much love around if possible. And we will tell the family members that they should consider hospice when we see that the time is approaching.
Oh, really?
And absolutely. And hospice doesn't mean that you're dying imminently. It means that you're coming in to a point in the circle of life where the circle is closing. And what it really is, hospice is a script that doctors will write when you're just sort of, we're done fighting. Okay. Cancer patients, cardiac patients, people who it's inevitable that death is near. Right. We all end up there. Right.
Yes.
So how do we do it in a dignified and safe manner?
Yeah.
What propelled me, again, was my wife's battle with cancer. And after a while, there's only so much poison one can put in the body to get a registered a benefit.
Right.
And at the end, the cancer won. Right. And I always speak about that journey in the sense because it was my personal experience, is that she's like, enough already. I know I'm losing the battle. Let's, for the sake of me as her husband, her as a mother of two young girls at the time, let's make this part of the journey, smooth and easy. And this is what it is. And that's what you want.
Yes.
That's what people are in pain. So there's people that are in pain at that point, not just physical pain, but emotional pain. It's not only is it emotionally taxing and spiritually taxing, it's financially taxing as well.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That is the reality. And I keep going back to that, but that is just the reality of the world that we live in today. The cost of everything has gone up recently. Okay. Yes. And your listeners are acutely aware of that.
Yes.
And so we just help people. That's what you want. And sometimes helping people is helping them say enough is enough.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your personal journey. One thing that comes to mind, and it was a request from a listener as well. What role do you all play in end of life? I forgot the term that they use, but we call it euthanasia. Do you come across that? And what is that like? Yeah.
We have not been part of a euthanasia relationship.
Right.
Okay. It's very hard to do here in New Jersey.
Oh, is it?
It is.
I thought it was legal. Easier. Yeah.
You have to have a certain criteria. You have to sort of have a cancer or some terminal illness. You have to go through a number of medical checks and things like that. And you sort of have to be of sound mind and body to let the powers know that you're going to do this. There are other states, I believe, that are easier. I know Vermont and Oregon.
Yes.
And Switzerland is.
Yes.
I don't know all the particulars, but we help people be comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. And if they're declining at the end of life, we help them be comfortable. We keep them clean.
Yes.
Right. We keep them fed. We move them around, things like that. But at the end is the end.
Yeah.
Right. In my 15 years of being in this, I've only seen one. I can only sense, and I need to use that one scenario where I think a loved one helped a husband helped their wife across the finish line, right? With maybe by a day or two.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So they were there anyway. And it was like, they sort of took care of that scenario. And I have I can't say definitively that's the case, but that I sense that. But in most cases, nature does its work, because if we're going to do that, there's a certain amount of guilt, survivor guilt, that comes with that, I think, in all of us.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing what we feel is a good deed, but we're still here having to deal with the ramifications of that good deed. Right. And I just think sometimes nature takes its course and you just sort of let it do so. Personally, I think euthanasia is a wonderful concept.
Option.
We've taken care of people that are 100 to 105 years old. I think our oldest patient was 104, almost 105. And you don't have a lot of friends, lifelong friends at that age, and you're just sort of existing, right? And hoping to pass. And people have shared these thoughts with myself and my care teams over the years. And if there was sort of that magic pill that we could take, I think a lot of people would. Right? But who are we to play God in that sense, or whatever it is?
Thank you for sharing that, because I always wonder what would be that experience like for families. But nonetheless, if they need an aid, they need a home health aid, then that service is there.
Right?
Yeah.
I've taken care of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 50 company. This was, and at his heyday, he was a rock star. But he's now, he was 90 some odd years old and couldn't control himself and was, and nobody should be like that, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you're a CEO or whatever the opposite of that is.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's all about dignity. It's all about safety and dignity, and every human deserves that. And you don't know, unfortunately for me, and a lot of people in the elder care world and in the healthcare community, we meet people who were these magnificent, magnanimous people. And meet them sort of at the end, right? Where they're a little bit weathered and beaten down, and life is, and you don't know who they were, but that in no way diminishes the respect that they should be accorded.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I absolutely
and especially
agree.
when you meet veterans, you don't know.
Yeah.
These people protected our freedoms. They protected this country, and for all the good, the bad, the ugly that this country has, it's still, I think, a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. We can sum it up, end it here with that note that when you see a patient, an elder patient, they come with history. They come with a past. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it is. But I think it's, like you said, dignity is sort of paramount, and it's really important to maintain that dignity in providing that care.
100%. Through it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Casey.
Thank you very much. This was a pleasure.
Yeah. This is absolutely wonderful. You shared so much invaluable stuff for us.